Kids are not running around trying to kiss everybody in the mouth. They're just trying to come to school, relax, be them, do them, learn a little lesson.
What's good, good people? I'm OBO, and in case you didn't know, I'm the G in LGBTQ, and you're watching It's Just Not Adding Up. So get in here and act like you got some sense. We're about to create some space. So, do you think school should be a safe space for expression, or should it be just a place you come to learn and go home?
Wow. So you're not going to subscribe. Wow.
I think that it's really, really cute to say that a school is a place where we just strictly learn our ABCs, one, two, threes. But how can you learn those things if you are distracted by so many other things? And the other piece is school, the intent of school is for us to prepare ourselves for the real world. Like literally one of the things that as teachers, a huge piece is give the lesson purpose. Let the students understand why this is important, why they're learning those things. And if you don't know what's important to your kids, if they don't feel like they can ask questions about things that aren't on topic, then what is the point of the conversation?
So do you feel like after building relationships, let's call it relationships, with students, does it aid in them learning better or learning?
Obviously, in a real way. I was a teacher for 10 years. I did my student teaching. Good gracious, babe. I mean,
Seven, come here, boy. Relax.
I did my student teaching in South Georgia. And I remember I had a student, I taught seventh grade at the time. And I had a student who both he and his brother were openly gay. His brother was a little bit older. He had gone off to high school. And I remember it was a humongous deal when we had orientation and his brother brought him and his brother was wearing a dress. And that's a huge thing at that time in South Georgia. Everybody's like, what the?
Right.
And I just remember I wasn't there for that situation. I heard about it. It was a huge scandal. And the little boy was in my class. I was a student teacher. I'm not phenomenal at what I do yet. I'm not, I just don't know.
Yeah.
But I did give him a different energy. He was failing math class terribly. And there was this assumption. Maybe.
Yeah.
But I remember the small things. He had hair like yours, but it was his chunks. I've shot my pencil.
I know that's right.
And just by me not,
absolutely,
it gave him a space where he could relax, focus. Nobody's worried about me. I need ace math. I said, not know how to do it because that just is not where I'm at in my class yet. But I think that the difference in that kind of environment made a humongous change.
And so, do you ever have any apprehension? I think now that you've been teaching longer, is there any apprehension about giving something to them that they don't get from home? Right, like a lot of people's families perpetuate what it means to be homophobic, transphobic, and all these different things. And so, do you ever feel like, well, I don't want to undermine what your parents are saying?
No.
Simply put,
right, no. Your mama don't know. And so that's okay. I'm here to educate. And so I'll educate the both of you, to be honest. A big piece of my job is educating an entire community, not just children. And so I remember I've had race conversations where parents have come back to me and said, how do I further this conversation? Like my child is into it. And I really love what you're doing. And so that to me kind of breaks down. I feel like if you're coming from a place of love, a place of equality, a place of kind of in a way conforming to what we've decided as a society is the right way, kindness, patience, those types of things are uniform. And if I can give you some tolerance with that, I can kind of talk about whatever I want to because I know that I can stand firm in the decision that I've made to breach this topic, to say what I have to say.
The thing about school that people don't understand is that oftentimes the adults that you meet as a young person are the adults that are usually a byproduct of your parents, because usually you would meet your your parents' friends, your family's friends, that kind of thing. So usually they're probably like-minded. So if they're super homophobic, the chances of their friends being homophobic are also pretty great. But school is the one place where you encounter adults that your parents didn't pick.
Yeah.
And so we have the opportunity, and a real opportunity, for people to pass over, like you said, kindness, but also create spaces and safe spaces for kids to be able to be certain things they can't be at home and honestly, as a child, you spend more time awake at school than you do at the house.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so it's all these different factors. And I think also as we see shifts happening, right? We're seeing kids coming out earlier. We're seeing kids identifying as, different things earlier. Do you think that, or have you seen gay still being used as a slur?
Yeah, 70%.
Yeah.
And I will say that's kind of the trickier part, is to not shame people for their own ignorance because they shut down, right?
Mm.
So my piece is not to tell you like you're a bully and you're the worst person on earth, but to educate you and let you know that's not an insult. You know, if you were to say you're a girl, congratulations, like that's not new news.
Yeah.
And it's not something that I should feel bad about. And I think that one thing that I noticed with my students and with, other people's students just in general is you not understanding the weight of the word. It's almost like something that you just keep saying. That's gay. You just you're just regurgitating it. And I would say, to be honest, I was guilty of that when I was younger. Like, I'm your sister,
Yeah.
guilty of,
They didn't know that. This is my sister.
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was a secret.
No, it's not.
Oh.
I just probably never made that distinction. So,
But yes.
yeah. Okay.
But guilty of,
Yeah.
That's gay. You sped. We just have the African booty scratcher. We just have the things that keep trickling down. And mind you, I don't even understand that I am insulting the entire group of people.
For sure. For sure.
So I think that a lot of my students, not saying that they're just, no guilt at all, but a lot of them are not cognizant of what they're doing. They're just perpetuating something that's been perpetuated to them.
Like in their mind, it's not even consciously homophobic as much as it's just what we say when things aren't cool.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Opposed to me having a disdain for men who like men or boys who like boys. It's really about just that's synonymous with uncool. And how terrible that is, I think that to your point, like they're not consciously being homophobic in that moment.
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of the kids, right, we always talk about what equity means, right? So we think about like, we don't want to coddle anybody, and that's never the ask. But at the same time, there's a difference in the way in which you handle a queer kid or a queer identifying kid versus maybe your cishet kid. And so I think, like, how do you balance or navigate, or do you at all, or is that a question of yours, like navigating what it means to create space for this queer kid while also not treating him totally different than the other kids that he's among, but also being mindful and being sensitive to the fact that this person has a very different experience.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel uncomfortable having to admit that, but I just don't know. Um, a lot of me moving through the classroom is about me building relationships and being able to predict what's going to happen.
Okay.
So I know what sets my kids off. I know what's going to cause a fight or a laugh or, shame. I know how to manipulate a situation. However, when it comes to my students who want the business in whatever way, my white kids, my Hispanic kids, and that of course includes my gay students or my students dealing with identity, journeys. It's sticky because I do want to treat you. I am very relaxed, very playful. I tease. Look at you over there looking at so what's up. That's gonna be your new boo next week. Like I joke with my kids all the time.
Yeah.
Hey big head. I have no issue with it. And they understand me. They know that it's coming from a place of love. But the same way, again, I tease my straight kids, you're gonna be, you're with so and so now. I can't do that because I predict my straight students being offended. And it's not that I necessarily all the way care about their comfortability. I do care about them. It turning on the student who I was trying to bring a part of our community in this really relaxed, lighthearted situation. It's no longer feeling that way for you, is it? When the entire class is like, all right. Yeah. That creates a different situation. Yeah. And so it's just kind of sticky trying to not single you out, but then at the same time trying to protect you.
Yeah, because I think what you said in the beginning was that schools are indicative of the world, and that's something that the world hasn't figured out yet.
Yeah.
Right, and so it's like there's no secret as to why it's difficult to figure that out or navigate that within school spaces. You know what I mean? And I think So do you think there should be some sort of diversity and inclusion parts of school systems? Is there?
What do you mean by that?
Like, should there be some sort of education on the diversity of students opposed outside of what you just know, right? Like outside of the sensitivity to race, outside of just, you know what I mean, like not being like saying things like the F word or like the T word, like not saying like slurs, but like are they like legitimate, like these are the groups of people. Here's how the non-binary people identify. Like this is what LGBTQ stands for.
Way there are. I know that in certain districts of Georgia,
Yeah.
they are making and I talked to DC too. And in DC, they're making strides to kind of have those equity trainings, and in that is the race, the LGBT community, all the things. But I do think that sometimes I get frustrated. I went to a training and I just feel like it was on deaf ears. Like you told me, and I already knew most of the things that you said, and I got like this much information, and then the people who didn't want to be informed are still not informed. With some communities that are trying to make um, changes now, I feel like there's a lot of pushback and people saying that, why do we have to do all that?
Yeah.
Pronouns. Why can't I just call you her? Well, I can make the fight. Why can't, but white people, why can't I just call you? No, it's so offensive.
I mean, why can't I just spell there? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
we can make that all day.
Yeah, we can do the why can't I's all day long. And I think that's part of the problem as well. I think, again, like to your point, it's just such a world issue that when we try to synchronize it, but I think we're trying to synchronize it because everybody has to go to school.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to go to a diversity and inclusion training. You don't have to go to college. You don't have to, join communities that can educate you, but you do have to go through a school system. And so if you can get that kind of lessons, even after talk about the Don't Say Gay bill and ban the conversation of the LGBTQ topics in the elementary school. I think it's like a siloed grade level range, but the fact that it's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that we have to make the distinction that you cannot discuss this, right? Like we don't make the same distinction talking about straight things because we understand that straight things are vast. But when we think about gay things, we think sex first. Like they're too young to hear about sex, but there's so much to a community outside of this sex. But I think a lot of us, even in the community, haven't learned what it means to be more than sexual because, like, honestly, most of us are still, if not once had, to navigate on our own devices. There wasn't really a lot of representation. There wasn't a lot of material. There wasn't a lot of tools. And in the midst of that, you're navigating something that people are using as a term that's synonymous with bad.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're trying to be cool about being gay when gay is uncool.
Yeah.
Like, in so many ways, even outside of it being mean for you to be put out your home and shunned by family, it's just not cool. And I think people don't understand how mean it is to reject the opportunity for kids to feel okay about themselves early on. But I think a lot of people also think that being queer is a choice. And so I think in this whole thing, I talk about this often. People say, like, I'm going to do me anyway. But we're hoping that if I bully you enough or create gay to be bad enough, that once you encounter it, you won't be coerced into it, right? Like I'm going to prepare you to encounter the beast, and that way when you see that beast to go the opposite direction. And so you have people who think that I don't want to catch the gay, or I don't want my kid to catch the gay, so don't talk about it in my school because he may become gay.
But to me, that's it's ridiculous. But it also creates a place in where you are not put to handle with things that you don't understand. It's almost making it worse for you. Is that you don't understand sexuality, you don't understand feelings. I remember hearing someone say, I was really, really, my best friend was a guy and I loved him. And I'm gay. Mom, I'm so sad. I'm gay. Hey, not. But because we made, and that's gay, wait a minute. We're trying to categorize things that don't fit into boxes.
Thanks.
Is my piece. And the idea that my students have to fight for the basic, because that is a basic necessity, is for you to feel respected, heard, appreciated. I don't understand how you're going to get anything done if you're focused on, please just don't leave me out. Just don't make me feel bad for something that doesn't even apply to this situation in real life.
You don't make me cry. Don't make me cry.
running around trying to kiss everybody in the mouth. They're just trying to come to school, relax, be them, do them, learn a little lesson. And so the idea that I have to put you on the spot consistently, especially when when I have proof in my face that this isn't the way to go. I know that there are some issues that we try to make into this big sexual thing, but sexuality is a spectrum. And I know that it's very hard for humans to fit on one side or the other. I personally, I'm like 90% straight. I don't, I don't have the same experience that you do.
Yeah.
But I do know that I'm human. And I know when I was going to school, like a lady used to piss me straight off.
Yeah.
How dare you come and tell me that because I don't speak at a whisper, because I'm not prim and polished, I'm not a lady, or to the idea that I don't want to be a stinking lady. What does it have to do with me learning the lesson? And now I see my students going through the same thing. Well, you're a boy, so you can be loud, you can hit, you can run. You're grown, you need to sit and be quiet. So, outside of even necessarily a sexual standpoint, we're turning things that have nothing to do with just common respect of accept. I think that the biggest piece for me is just a place where acceptance. We have created a space where we are kind. What does who you like have to do with you being kind? Where you are, safe. What does who you like have to do with you being safe? Those are the types of things that we need to kind of cultivate. And we're going in complete opposition of that by creating a divide where there doesn't need to be one.
No, I mean, you're preaching, because I think policing the bodies of boys and girls has just always been very interesting to me, and it's not, and it's often doesn't feel like it's taking the angle of protection. It really feels like you're just policing the bodies of boys and girls. And I think, to your point, people don't, which is making me emotional even talking about it, because I think people don't understand, like, there's so much to navigate. And most people, I say this most episodes, but most queer kids are just hoping for a second to navigate one thing at a time, because none of the things that everybody else is navigating stop because we're queer. So we're navigating everything else plus our queerness. So whatever people are dealing with in their developmental stages of time, and we're dealing with that on top of, to your point, it's starting way before I get to class. Are they going to receive me if this thing gets out? Because a lot of times we're talking about now in school systems is film presenting queerness. It's not necessarily like, there's a bunch of queer kids, right? But he may just lean more on the masculine side, so he's able to float in a way that doesn't really get him pegged, and he's fine. But there's people but he still feels queer, probably 9 out of 10. And so it's like figuring out how to create those spaces. And we can talk about that all day long. I just think that it's just I want people to understand how heavy that is for a young kid to carry, the burden of wondering whether or not I will be accepted when I come into this space where I'm supposed to be accepted blindly, because I'm not causing any hurt, harm, or danger to anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not causing a riot. 9 out of 10, my grades may be decent. All the things that are happening have nothing to do with who I like, or even my identity, and honestly, you'll find that so many queer men were told they were gay before they knew what gay was. Right? Like you're like, well, I don't know what I like. But you're using my behavior as a rubric to decide who I am. And it's so many things. But anyways, last question. What do you want young queer kids to know? Like the students that you encounter, if you could just like have, I don't know if it needs to be off the record, because you sound like you're gonna say what you want to say regardless. But what do you want them to know? What do they need to understand? What do you want to say?
That, I don't know. I feel like I would tell you to stand firm in who you are and know that your capacity to learn has nothing to do with your peers, your teachers. But that would be, I mean, how do you tell a kid that? And what do they do with that?
Yeah.
Just ignore all the outside forces that are creating boundaries for them. Um, I don't know. Like even in specific conversations with specific students, just what you know how to give myself to, and you understand that at least at the end of the day,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Miss Jones didn't know here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
what to tell you, to be honest. I don't.
Yeah. I think I want students to know. Well, one, I want them to know that it gets better. I think sometimes instilling hope in people gives you something to continue on because I think we're ignoring suicide in queer kids. We're ignoring depression and all the things that exist as a byproduct of our sexuality. And I think there's so much more to be had that exists outside of those four walls if we're being in realism, right? Like it sucks that you have to wait until you're grown to find a pocket to breathe. But that's just kind of the name of the game oftentimes in queer spaces or queer people rather. And I think I want queer students to know that it gets better. I want them to keep their heart open because I think it can make you jaded and cold or stern or defensive because you're constantly on the defense with other people. And I think also to the point, like just being real, like focus on the things that you can control, which really sucks. But like that's kind of like to me the best advice because it's like focus on your grades, you can control that, right? Like focus on the things you really can't control, whether or not you're popular, that's decided by other people. You really can't control whether or not you get bullied. I mean, those kind of things are very like out of your, you know what I mean? Like, how do I decide? Hey guys, so there's no bullying for me, and there's no non-popularity for me. Like, you don't get that luxury, but you do in some cases, under certain circumstances, get the opportunity to get your grades good and just keep your heart good. Because I just don't want to see people, and again, this generation is different, right? Like these people are exploring themselves a lot earlier than we did, and attaching language itself a lot earlier than we did. But I don't know, like I just know that like I'm really glad that they have teachers like you though, who just doesn't care, right? Like, and not doesn't care mean like you don't care, but doesn't care mean like you don't care. You guys get it. And so, yeah, keep teaching. I hope you keep teaching.
I hope so too.
We praise the Lord. Well, if you guys ever go by her school or see her out, I don't know, give her an apple. That's what they give to teachers, right? I don't know. Anyways, I will see you guys next episode. Keep creating space. Peace.